Missile threat. Moscow is on fire again. All oil refineries in Russia have been completely shut down. Now the situation with gasoline is even worse. They've started calling in fortune tellers.
Friends, we're in a bad situation with gasoline. How do you plan to drive if, God forbid, you won't be able to leave here afterwards?
But Putin doesn't care about the problems. The main thing is to give bonuses to the deputies. How about 4 million each? Solovyov is shocked by the situation in Russia and demands that China intervene.
Why don't we just switch to a completely different kind of relationship with China?
That's why now they want to block the internet in Russia and only provide access 3 to 7 times a month. Russians are loudly complaining about losses at the front and already hate Putin.
To Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Dear President, where are your promises?
Schools are forbidding students from going to the 10th grade so that everyone goes to the front, while Donbas is quietly returning home. The Ukrainian armed forces have retaken another settlement. Hello everyone, this is Karina Klishin with you, and this is the program In Trend. I've gathered a lot of interesting news for you, and believe me, we'll have plenty to discuss today. So let's get started. Every day brings a new missile threat. Today in Russia, once again, high-precision debris struck oil refineries. Once again, an oil refinery in Moscow is on fire. Yes, the very same one where the lid was blown off. In Taganrog, they've even declared a state of emergency. People in the oil refinery area are being evacuated. A massive fire can be seen. You could say the spirit of Anchorage. An oil depot is burning in Azov.
Azov, just so you know, here's Linsovka.
Wow, unbelievable. Look at that smoke in Azov. Yeah, something hit.
Even Russians themselves no longer believe in the power of Putin's air defense.
There it is. Beep, 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 beep. And they didn't shoot it down. Beep, beep, beep.
A state of emergency has also been declared in the Stavropol region. Why do you think that is? That's right, because of the fire at the oil refinery.
Right at home.
By the way, this oil depot is an element of the rear logistics of Russia's fuel and energy complex. There's a fire in Tver as well.
Wow. What is going on?
That's Putin's geopolitics. He's got everything under control. Don't interfere with him. Rumor has it it's missiles again. There's also some more smoke again in Nizhnekamsk. And they had just put out the fire. According to Reuters, the Saratov oil refinery has been completely shut down for good after the strike by the Ukrainian armed forces. This is already the second oil facility that has been completely put out of commission. Up to 40% of Russia's oil refining capacity has been destroyed. I think it's clear to everyone why Russia is having such colossal problems with fuel. And by the way, the situation is getting worse. The lines are getting longer and there's less and less gasoline.
How's the gasoline situation? We want to go somewhere. So what's the situation? What's going on? Friends, things are really bad with gasoline here.
Hello, could you tell me how long have you been waiting in this line? I've been here since 10 in the evening. Oh, really? Yes, of course. Some people have been here since 2 o'clock. Oh, in the afternoon. Oh, in the afternoon? Yes, since yesterday. Some have been here since 7.
It's gotten to the point where people are already spending the night in tents, just like in Volgograd.
We're waiting. Gasoline.
And this is despite the fact that there's a whole oil refinery in the city. By the way, it's already unclear what exactly Russians are filling up with. Now in Mordor, they can sell you anything under the guise of gasoline, except for the certainty that your car will even start after filling up.
The gasoline arrived in these aluminum canisters. It was poured in here just a minute ago. No need to talk about the reaction with the bottle. This plastic doesn't get corroded by gasoline. So that's the kind of gasoline quality we have. What can you do? If this still smells like gasoline, then what this is, it's hard to even say.
And this is at sky-high prices that private gas stations made up themselves just to make some extra money.
If people complain, I'll raise the price even higher.
Explain, what is this price based on?
Because my left foot felt like it. It's my gasoline, my land, my gas station, my product. I'm not going to explain anything to anyone. There are authorities. Let them either punish or encourage. Thank God it even exists at all.
Russians are now even asking for help from higher powers. Against the backdrop of the fuel crisis, fortune tellers and psychics have become more active, promising to reduce gasoline consumption and, by the power of thought, turn AI 92 into premium AI 100.
The ritual goes like this. Everything is prepared. And then it's lit, and a runic symbol is placed on the car. 1 incantation for you, 2 incantations to protect and guard. So this is what the finished work looks like. There were incense sticks here, everything, so all the offerings are made. Alright, so now we've done everything. Everything is completed.
Will this help save gasoline?
Of course, look, this will preserve everything. I see an incredibly wicked woman, and just 5 tiny drops are more than sufficient. For example, if you drop this into the gasoline, then all of this gasoline will completely vanish into thin air.
So someone likely tampered with my gas tank, causing my fuel to drain fast?
Yes?
The price ranges from 1,500 rubles for wax casting to 16,000 rubles for a salt incantation. Scammers promise to remove a curse from your car and attract gasoline to an empty tank. Scammers will never disappear from there. But somehow the magic isn't working. Employers are already being advised to switch employees to remote work because of the fuel situation. A state of heightened alert has already been declared in the Novosibirsk region. Residents are being asked to give up their personal cars for the sake of total gasoline savings. But then they tell Putin about the growth in exports, and he believes it.
In a slowing economy, it is precisely exports, both raw materials and non-raw materials, that serve as tools for stabilizing the situation and achieving economic growth. We have maintained our exports, and as you correctly noted, we have achieved a steady growth trend.
Once again, it turns out to be the same old story. But when people actually start telling Putin about the real problems, he starts drawing.
It's clear that the current situation at gas stations is causing concern among people. Today, a ban on the export of diesel fuel was introduced, and this will allow for increased supplies to the domestic market.
He kind of reminds me of some non-historical German artist. Who do you think it is? It seems like he was trying to draw a graph of his own approval rating. After all, the fuel collapse has hit the Kremlin hard. Even the official ratings can no longer hide the real mood of the people. Friends, I am really looking forward to your comments on this matter. Write to me. You know I'm always in touch, I read everything, and of course I reply to you. So I'm waiting. And don't forget to like this video. This small action from you is a big support for the entire InTrend team. And so that the serfs can't complain about all this on the internet, Russians are to be given the opportunity to use mobile internet only 3 to 7 times a month. According to Russian insiders, special permits will be required for this. The Ministry of Digital Development is already working on a project.
And the situation has changed. It's become more difficult, which is why the restrictions need to be drastically tightened. Vladimir Vladimirovich recently said that due to the fuel crisis, the enemy is trying to create a tense atmosphere in Russian society. That's why the measures must be as drastic as possible. Russia is in great danger.
Or maybe it's just to shut up the propagandists who have already started to take an oppositional stance. For example, the silenced blogger Vladimir Grubnik admitted that in 2013, it wasn't US-paid militants who came out to the Maidan, as the Kremlin claimed, but ordinary, normal people who were simply fed up with Yanukovych's gangster regime.
The Party of Regents, in particular Yanukovych's son, were seizing businesses, trying to take over businesses. A certain segment, the active part of society who weren't necessarily against Russia, were just so enraged by this inadequacy and lawlessness that they ran out to the Maidan.
12 years have passed, and the silenced ones have essentially admitted that the Maidan was right. The Kremlin's talking points have been forgotten. You know, even Solovyov hasn't opened the playbook in a while. Can you imagine? They're having problems with gasoline there.
There are problems with gasoline. There are lines at the gas stations. people are getting anxious. Sometimes they have to call in law enforcement to restore order.
The special military operation is going according to plan. That's what Putin said too. At first, the propagandist was shouting that they'd reach Berlin and show all of Europe who's boss, and now he's whining that without China's help, Russia can't defeat Ukraine.
But why not take a different approach? Why, for example, shouldn't China act as our rear base? Why don't we just switch to a completely different kind of relationship with China altogether? Well, let's go this way. North Korea, China, Russia, Belarus.
Maybe because they don't need it. The demilitarization of Ukraine is going so well that even Kremlin propaganda is now saying live on air that Putin is dragging his own country down. Oh, Solovey. He still hasn't realized that neither the Chinese nor the Belarusians are going to storm Malaya Tokmachka. Well, unless it's from the Ukrainian armed forces side.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
And amid the chaos in Russia, a State Duma deputy, Volodin, appeared in the media with a simply brilliant solution. He came up with the idea to pay the deputies their annual bonuses ahead of schedule. And not at the end of the year, but already at the beginning of September. They want to hand out bonuses to the needy totaling 2 billion rubles, gentlemen. That means on average it's 4.5 million per person. Even the war correspondent 13th has reacted to this already.
Here, every day we're raising money for drones, for electronic warfare, for vehicles, for medicine, for communications, for generators, for repairs, for everything under the sun. People are chipping in every penny. Volunteers are working themselves to the bone, and the units themselves are covering things that the system should have taken care of long ago. And at the same time, those at the top have decided to use the money they've saved to give themselves bonuses.
By the way, today it became known that the war correspondent 13th has been arrested for 2 months. It was previously reported that he was detained under the article for inciting hatred or enmity. And now there is information that he deserted from the front. Or maybe he just complained too much. Friends, let us know in the comments and under this video which city today's episode has reached. Write it down. It will be interesting to learn about the geography of our viewers and also to hear your opinions about what's happening. There really are a lot of problems for the Russians at the front, but the biggest one is losses. For example, this is what a resident of Kazan is complaining about.
Yes, that's how I lost my friend. My friend moved out, you know. A year ago I stopped talking to him, but before that we were always in touch. He was in the hospital twice. Then he said, Oleg, it looks like I won't be leaving here either as a 200 or as a 300, some kind of invalid. Here, I'm in the village right now, and out of all the people here, probably about 10 have left. The village is small, and 5 200s have already come back.
He finds it funny, but it's no laughing matter for a soldier who ends up in a regiment where the command's crimes are only encouraged by the Kremlin. They didn't even bother to treat him in the hospital. After being wounded, they want to send him straight back to the front.
I made a decision and left Penza because I realized they'd send me back, and going back to the volunteer unit, that's probably a death sentence. Well, since they've already started destroying people, it means everything they've begun, as usual, needs to be finished to the end.
This kind of situation is seen in all units. Even if you're on crutches, you still have to go fight.
Once he finished his time at the rehabilitation center, and immediately after returning back to his military unit, his superiors made the decision to send him back out to fight on crutches. I want to address Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Mr. President, I must ask you, what has become of the solemn promises you made to us?
Where? Come up with a rhyme yourself. But is it really still not clear that he's just sending everyone to their deaths and doesn't even care about the consequences? Is it really that after hundreds of thousands of problems at the front and up to 500,000 Russians eliminated, they still haven't realized what's actually happening? Meanwhile, the Ukrainian armed forces have retaken a settlement in the Donetsk region. The Marines of the 37th Brigade, together with the 79th Air Assault Brigade, cleared and returned the village of Novokatska under the Ukrainian flag. But in general, the authorities aren't concerned with problems involving the soldiers. They need to improve the demographics here. That's why they've come up with a simply brilliant solution. Introducing criminal punishment for domestic violence could deal a blow to the institution of the family, so there will be no punishments at all. That's exactly what Deputy Ostanina stated.
We need to think about how this will affect the institution of the family. Will this strengthen the institution of the family? Indeed, will this be the measure that once and for all puts a stop to domestic violence? Or will it actually have an even greater impact, considering that our institution of the family is already ruined? 8 out of 10 marriages end in divorce, so this would be yet another blow to the family institution.
Oh, wow! And this is despite the fact that she admitted that the decriminalization of domestic violence in 2017 was a mistake. And to show Zoomers how cool it is to get married and have a family, pro-Kremlin patriots staged a wedding between Chinese robots Robert and Matilda.
Robert and Matilda, are you ready to unite your systems, synchronize your trust protocols, and move together along the path of the future? I am ready.
I am ready.
Do you accept this bracelet?
The absurdity of propaganda is getting stronger. And this is why Putin needs new cells of society. Russian schools have started to massively refuse to accept students into the 10th grade so that they go to vocational schools instead. They are allegedly not being accepted because of low knowledge levels and poor grades in their certificates. But in reality, the students are doing well in school.
We just found out the results. You can see it on my face. I wasn't accepted. Can you imagine he wasn't accepted into the 10th grade at school number 36 with a score of 4.45, with a certificate without any C's, and with no C's on his state exams?
At parent-teacher meetings, teachers openly advise parents to look for colleges and say that only a handful will make it into the 10th grade. But anyone can become a drone operator. That's Putin's Russia for you. Or you could become a street sweeper. There are plenty of job openings because in Orenburg, for example, there's literally no one to sweep the streets. The mayor of Orenburg complained that he wanted to hire street sweepers from North Korea, but the city couldn't afford their salaries. The North Koreans refused to work for 55,000 rubles, but they did find workers in Senegal.
I wasn't able to do it last year. If someone manages to do it this year, that would be really great. And as far as I know, regarding workers from North Korea, they won't come for 55,000. There, the wage level is 2 or even 3 times higher than 55,000. Of course, their efficiency is higher too. They work like robots. I saw with my own eyes how they work. They really are like robots there. And we simply can't afford their salaries.
For now, even as Russians are being sent en masse to the front, even on crutches, even foreigners aren't willing to do the hard work for the pittance that wealthy Russia is offering. And finally, a word about technological advancement in Russia. The insurance company asked the participants of the accident to draw a schematic of how the crash happened. Had to improvise.
You're filling out the insurance paperwork, and they asked you to draw the circumstances of the accident. Well, how are you supposed to draw something like that? Well, I did what I could. Well, here it is, yeah. Well, it does look similar, doesn't it? He must have been yelling just like that. There he is with the steering wheel, see, driving. Ah.